So just to back up and give like a framework of yoga, if we look at Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which are just one of the sources that we use in yoga, it's not the only one, but the Yoga Sutras say that there are 8 limbs of yoga. This is getting into philosophy. We'll not go too far down this road, but just so that you know, the first 2 limbs, the yamas and the niyamas, have to do with our behavior, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others. And then the next limb is asana. That's the yoga postures that we are like so obsessed with, those of us who really love moving our body, especially here in the West. And then the next limb is called pranayama. And pranayama loosely translates to controlling the breath or restraining the breath or working with the breath. So prana, P-R-A-N-A, if you don't know. This is sort of an equivalent to what you would call like chi in other Eastern modalities. So when we practice yoga asana, we practice postures, we are working with a system of energy and these channels of energy that run through the body that in the yoga world we call nadis. In traditional Chinese medicine, like in acupuncture, we would call these meridians. It's basically the same framework. And what happens is that when we practice asana, we are disentangling stuck areas, and those could be areas that are stuck because of injury, because of postural misalignments, like sitting at a desk way too long. And there are also emotional holding patterns that are related more to like psychic debris, let's just say. A really simple way to describe this is if you think about when you feel down, how you tend to slump around a little bit, and that rounded posture might get kind of embedded in our body, and it could come from a time in life like our teenage years or just from some sort of grief or loss. And when in yoga asana, we start to open that area, sometimes some of that stuck debris gets washed out. Okay, so as we move, we're physically addressing these nadis, but the breath is also part of this like purification or cleansing that happens on a more subtle level. So in yoga teaching, we talk about there being multiple layers to the body. One is the physical body. It's literally called like the food body because we feed it food. And then the next one, the next more subtle one, is called the subtle body or the pranic body, the pranamaya kosha. We're feeding it prana. So emotion, mind, body, they all interweave and connect and sit together. And when we practice things like yoga asana and breath work, we're actually working on all of those dimensions at once. And this is why sometimes when we practice yoga, we have emotional release, or we feel a certain way, an emotional way after we might practice. So just a little tiny bit more is that prana comes in with the breath. It's beyond the breath, so it's around us, it's in us, it's through us, but we access it through the breath. And when we breathe in, we're kind of drawing that prana into ourselves. And when we breathe out, it's not that the prana is leaving, we're just exhaling. The prana can remain behind, especially if we consciously think of it that way. So the next few times that you practice, I just want you to start to like peer into this world a little bit, whether you're doing an actual pranayama practice or not, to just notice how when you're pulling energy in, there's a sense of held energy. When your inhale is there's that beat of a pause before you exhale. And then when you let go, that you're not dumping your energy out, you're actually learning to hold that energy. And that's what the pranayama, the control of the breath, is about. So I'll say more about how to actually do pranayama techniques for another video. But for now, I just wanted to give that background that there are nadis, these channels of energy, millions of them in the body. These relate to the energetic body, or sometimes called the subtle body or the pranic body. Those are a blueprint upon which the physical body sits. They're really kind of interwoven. And when we practice yoga and meditation, we're working on all of those levels at once. Okay, so more to come. If you have questions, comments, or thoughts, you know I'm down to hear them. Keep it kind, keep it real, and take care out there.